The Galactic Union knew humanity well by now. Despite their remarkable resilience, technological prowess, and adaptability, humans were different from the war-hungry species that made up most of the galaxy's powerful factions. They were peaceful by nature, always seeking diplomacy first, and more often than not, they feared the prospect of war. But that didn't stop the rest of the galaxy from being afraid of them. When humanity was first invited into the Galactic Union, other species had mocked their reluctance for conflict. The idea that humans would rather negotiate than fight seemed laughable to the militaristic Targans or the cutthroat Dranith. Their pacifist leanings were perceived as weakness, something to be exploited. That all changed after the Battle of Varkina. The peaceful human delegation was sent to mediate a dispute between the Zortho Alliance and the heavily armed Karkol Armada. Tensions were high, and neither side believed the humans could keep control over the situation. While the humans insisted on peace talks, the Karkol launched a surprise attack, determined to seize Varkina and crush both their enemies and the so-called soft humans. The skies of Varkina were soon ablaze with fire as the Karkol ships descended. The Galactic Council watched in horror, certain that humanity, with its small fleet and unwillingness to fight, would be destroyed. But they underestimated the human fear of war. You see, humans feared war not because they were weak, but because they knew what they were capable of when truly pushed. Within moments of the Karkol assault, something in the human fleet shifted. Their hesitation vanished. A single order echoed across their ranks, one that hadn't been uttered by a human commander in over a century. Engage. The ships moved with terrifying precision, cutting through the Karkol Armada like a finely honed blade. Human ships, designed for defense, adapted to offense in ways the other species could barely comprehend. Their AI systems calculated trajectories with devastating accuracy, and their modular weaponry, designed for flexibility, quickly overwhelmed the Karkol's brute force strategies. On the ground, human soldiers activated protocols that no alien had ever seen. Outfitted in adaptive battle suits, they moved faster, hit harder, and strategized with an intelligence that seemed almost alien to their opponents. What had been thought of as defensive shields quickly turned into energy fields capable of disintegrating enemy projectiles midair. Within hours, the Karkol forces were decimated, their fleet retreating in panic. For the first time, the galaxy witnessed the full might of the species that had long avoided war. It wasn't that humans didn't know how to fight. It was that they had chosen not to. And when forced to defend themselves, their restraint became their most terrifying strength. The battle was over as quickly as it began. The Galactic Union, which had once dismissed humanity as soft, now stood in awe. The Zortho, once antagonistic, bowed in respect, recognizing that the humans had not only saved their people but had done so without reveling in the destruction. In the aftermath, the galaxy's perspective on humanity changed forever. No longer were humans seen as weak or afraid. Instead, they were respected, even feared, not for their weapons, but for their discipline. The phrase "humans are afraid of war" took on a new meaning, an acknowledgement that humanity's reluctance wasn't born from cowardice, but from the deep understanding of the cost of violence and their own immense potential for it. As the story of Varkina spread, the galaxy learned an important lesson. When humans choose peace, it's because they know exactly what they could unleash in war. And nothing frightened the galaxy more than that knowledge. The legend of Varkina rippled through the galaxy like a shockwave. Every major faction, from the warrior clans of the Zyrax to the cunning strategists of the Narvok Collective, found themselves rethinking their approach to humanity. They now knew that if pushed too far, the humans could be the most dangerous force the galaxy had ever encountered. It wasn't just their technology or their adaptability. It was their control, their unwillingness to resort to violence unless absolutely necessary. In the days that followed, humanity became something of an enigma to the rest of the Galactic Union. While most species had evolved with warfare deeply embedded in their cultures, humans had spent centuries moving beyond it. Their history was filled with terrible wars, yes, but their greatest achievements came from unity, exploration, and cooperation. It was as though the humans had become the guardians of peace by understanding the horrors of war too well. Yet the question lingered in the minds of many. What would happen if humanity ever lost that control? That question was put to the test sooner than anyone expected. Months after the Battle of Varkina, an ancient threat emerged from the fringes of the galaxy, a nomadic, bioengineered species known as the Darvax. The Darvax were unlike anything the galaxy had ever faced. Not bound by diplomacy or reason, they had no interest in negotiations or territory. They simply consumed, leaving nothing but desolation in their wake. They moved swiftly, overrunning entire star systems and threatening to destabilize the Galactic Union. Panic spread through the Union. The Darvax were too alien, too ruthless for the traditional tactics of the galaxy's military powers. For the first time in centuries, the Galactic Council was desperate. Every faction knew they were outmatched, and some quietly began evacuating their worlds, unwilling to face the inevitable destruction. And so, once again, they turned to the humans. Initially, the humans hesitated. Their fear of war hadn't lessened after Varkina, and they knew that the Darvax would require them to unleash their full capabilities. But as the reports of entire worlds being consumed reached Earth, humanity made its choice. The message they sent to the Galactic Council was simple. We will defend the galaxy. This time, the galaxy braced itself not for humanity's diplomacy, but for their firepower. As human fleets moved into position across the threatened sectors, something became clear to the other species. Humanity had been preparing for this moment. Their warships, once thought of as peaceful vessels, revealed a hidden might. Defense mechanisms became powerful weapons. Ships that had been classified as exploration cruisers transformed into war machines capable of outmaneuvering and outgunning even the most advanced alien technologies. And their soldiers, highly trained and equipped with tech no one had ever seen, became a force the galaxy now feared more than ever. The final showdown took place on the edge of the galactic core near the planet Joris Prime. The Darvax swarm descended in numbers that dwarfed even the most pessimistic estimates. It was a living tidal wave of destruction, overwhelming everything in its path. The Galactic Council's forces, bolstered by human-led battalions, met them head-on, but it was clear that this would be a brutal battle. The humans, though outnumbered, fought with an efficiency and precision that left their allies in awe. Their advanced battle tactics, fusing artificial intelligence with human ingenuity, allowed them to adapt in real time, cutting through the Darvax forces in ways that no one thought possible. More than that, it was the sheer unity of humanity that gave them the edge.